Hello, hello, what an honor. I love this class, the Advanced Relationship Workshop. We conceived it ourselves with the help of the Holy Spirit, if you will. We designed it, we developed the curriculum, and it's absolutely fantastic. I have suffered a great deal in my own life, in my own personal life, with the relationship issue, the whole romantic relationship issue. I've had a couple of divorces. I've been quite broken by some of these problems that I've had, and the truth is I don't think I knew how to do it right, and I'm still learning, obviously, but I don't think I knew how to do it. I don't think I knew what the expectations were, what the purpose was, and as a result of not knowing, I end up inflicting a lot of pain and suffering on the women I've related with, and as a reflection of that pain, evidently I also got hurt quite a bit. It's really nobody's fault, but it goes around, it comes around, and as a result, I've suffered to the point of actually going through a near-death experience at one point. I didn't think I was going to make it at one time, so I've taken this very seriously, and I've wanted to learn this so bad. And once I came back from the near-death experience, I was determined to learn how to do this right. And I realized that when a person has suffered with relationships in the past, there are three issues that must be addressed if they're ever going to be happy again. So the first one is we have to be able to heal emotional trauma. The idea, now I don't know if everybody has emotional trauma or not. I've been a therapist for 23 years. I've done over 40,000 sessions, 300 exorcisms. So in my experience, the people who come to see me have a whole lot of emotional pain and trauma, but those are the people who go to therapy. So I don't know if in population everybody has emotional pain or not accumulated in their unconscious, but I do know that a great deal of us do. I did, and I still do to a certain extent. And so healing past pain, past trauma, and when I say past trauma, I'm not just referring to your last boyfriend or your last girlfriend or your ex-wife or ex-husband. I'm also referring to things like early childhood, parental type issues, and even things for some people that have to do with past lives. I mean, these things can go really deep at some point. I remember I've had 2 divorces. I remember after my first divorce, I got quite desperate. I have 2 daughters from my first marriage and 2 daughters from a second marriage. And after my first divorce, I got so desperate within myself in a way that it wasn't quite justifiable. In other words, it wasn't that big of a deal, meaning, it wasn't. And in a regression, I realized that I associated my then wife and 2 daughters with a marriage I had about 500 years ago, when she and my 2 daughters also died back in some sort of a epidemic of some type. They died, and so I unconsciously associated that divorce with the loss of these 3 human beings whom I love, all 3 of them. Of course, my ex-wife and I are friends, and of course, one thing is the marriage not working out. Another thing is, of course, I wish her really well. I didn't want to lose her, but in my mind, there was this idea that the 3 of them are dying, or they're dead, or they're gone, so that type of thing. So in some cases, we have to address pain that goes deep into the unconscious and sometimes back several hundred years. So healing emotional pain is one thing that we must master if we're going to have a successful relationship in the future. Now, it is true, before I describe to you the second and third thing, it is true that some people don't have those problems. I know people who they meet in high school, they get married, they have a perfect romantic life throughout their lives, they die together at the age of 152. It's true, there are some people like that, but they wouldn't come to the seminar perhaps, or maybe just to teach or share. I'm talking about the person who has had trouble in that arena, like me. And I'll tell you why I decided to do these classes. I began to tell you the story. And so the second thing that we're going to need is we're going to need to change our minds about ourselves and overcome addiction to certain thought patterns, certain behaviors, and certain types of people. That has nothing to do with healing pain. That is simply an addiction type thing, that is just like an obsession type of thing, that is just a habit of the mind to enter into a particular situation of the same type every time, or a particular type of person, or behave in a particular way, and it has nothing to do with the pain. That is the habit. The habit has to be broken so that our spontaneity, the light of your soul can shine. Whatever it is that you do out of habit prevents the light from your soul to shine through you. And the third thing we're going to need is we're going to learn some skills. In my case, for instance, I had no idea. I thought I knew, right? I thought I knew everything about everything. And of course, life showed me completely wrong, because I fell flat on my face and almost died. But so we have to learn a few things. The first thing we need to learn is, what is the purpose for the relationship? Because we have to gauge what's going on in the relationship according to some sort of standard, according to some sort of purpose. How do I know if we're doing well or not together unless I know what the purpose is? What should be happening? And so we got to learn the purpose. There has to be a purpose. There has to be a reason why since day one on earth, people seek one another. And so there's a purpose. And then there's a form. You see, that purpose occurs through a form. People interact a certain way. If you do it a certain way, it works. If you do it in a different way, it simply does not work. With my second two babies now, it is interesting because we come home every now and then, and they're 3 and 4 years of age, and they're learning about many, many things, obviously, but among other things, they're learning about keys and doors and locks, And so now they're at that stage where they want to unlock the door when we get home. So they grab the key and they attempt to insert the key into the lock, and they always ask me, okay, is it this way or this way? Which way does the key go in? And they've already discovered that the key goes into the hole one way, but not the other way. And you know what I'm saying? If the key is with the serration up or the serration down, there's a way it can go into the lock or not. And it is the same key and the same lock. But guess what? It's going to work one way and it's not going to work the other way. And between a man and a woman, between two people, the relationship can work beautifully. One way, you can unlock the door and you can go into heaven together, meaning you can be happy together. But if you do it in a different way, the same two people, it won't work. You go to hell together. And I've seen heaven and hell in terms of a relationship. In other words, it can be awesome or it can be absolutely devastating. Now, it's not just me. The thousands of people I've worked with over the years, they've also experienced the bliss and hell through a romantic relationship. So it is absolutely common to the human experience that if we do it one way, it works. If you do it the other way, it doesn't work. And so we're going to have to learn some skills. So check this out. If you have had pain in the past when it comes to your relationships, we're going to have to heal emotional trauma that can go back thousands of years in some cases. We're going to have to find it and heal it. That's one thing. We're going to have to close that wound. We're going to have to take care of the wound. Because if there's pain today, there's a wound there somewhere. I don't know where, how, when, how did you get it, but there's a wound in there somewhere. I had to find my own, and I can help you find yours. Second, we're going to have to change our minds about ourselves to the degree that we can behave differently. We're going to have to engage in our relationships in a different way. There has to be a different form, and there has to be spontaneity there to the degree that we can choose different types of partners. In other words, if you're locked into one kind of partner, the mind is addicted to a particular type of thing, that means that we're not free yet, and therefore it won't quite happen. In other words, you might feel very attracted to a certain kind of person, but once you get connected and you become attached, then the pain starts. Do you identify with that? You fall in love with somebody, and then you're attached and connected. Suddenly everything goes south and goes weird, and people change and so forth. Once you become attached, it all changes, and that happens because we recognize that attachment, which is a normal human function, we're built to be attached, to connect, to bond, particularly through sexuality. We bond, we glue to one another. And when we recognize that we have become attached to a person that somehow doesn't quite work well with us, then we develop this ambivalence towards them. This love-hate thing. I love you, but I hate you type of thing. I want to pull you closer, but also push you away at the same time. And that is how we get to hell quite quickly. Now imagine both partners doing the same thing, pulling and pushing at the same time. This can become quite violent in some cases. And that happens because we attached to a person who isn't the person for us. It's like putting the key into the lock the wrong way. It won't go in. There's no there's no compatibility there. There's no opportunity for learning and growth. And so it becomes difficult, but now you're attached. Now it's difficult to let go. All right. And so we're gonna have to change our minds. We're gonna have to let go of some of these habits, and we're gonna have to learn some skills. Listen, you wouldn't do anything in this world without learning the skills. You wouldn't drive a car without learning it first. You wouldn't fly a plane. You wouldn't build a building. You wouldn't paint a house. You wouldn't do anything unless you actually learn the skills first. You go on YouTube, you look up the videos. But relationships can be studied, and there are ways to make them work better. That is what we study in the Advanced Relationship Workshop. I help you get to the core of your pain. I help you change your mind about yourself, and I help you learn how to relate to someone else in a way that is healthy for both of you. If you're interested in having awesome relationships, then come to the Advanced Relationship Workshop Saturday nights, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, New York time, and we're going to have a blast. All right? Now, you're going to have access to some of the past classes if you want to review them. I can send you some information. I think you're going to love this because it's going to transform your life. Research says that when you ask a person to report on their own level of satisfaction, life satisfaction and happiness, self-assessments, 70% of what goes into my idea of how happy I am in my life has to do with the romantic relationship. It is that important to all of us. So if you want a great relationship, let's heal trauma, let's change your mind about yourself, and let's learn how to do this differently so that it actually works for you. Advanced Relationship Workshop is the right place for you. I am so looking forward to meeting you for our next workshop. Thank you and blessings.